Welcome to Women of the Metaverse. I am Cheryl Laidlaw.
I am Angela Harkness. We have been and are still on a journey to discover the Metaverse, Web 3.0, NFTs, and anything that we are required to know to join this world.
From this podcast, we will help you to unlock how the Metaverse is going to impact your brand, your business, and even your personal life.
Join us as we take the mystery out of this new digital universe. Welcome to Women of the Metaverse. In this episode, we are talking about weddings. This episode came about because my niece works in the wedding industry, and I sent her an article that I found about a couple that were married in the Metaverse, sponsored by Taco Bell, because they won a competition. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can have a full read because it's very interesting. But this led to a debate between my niece and I about how this digital universe would change weddings. She was not having it. She truly believes that people would not want to hold their weddings in the Metaverse. And I did tell her that I would wear my I Told You So t-shirt when people started to grow considerable businesses by creating venues and planning Metaverse weddings. Granted, it doesn't sound like the most romantic way to get married. Still, there are several aspects to it that we are going to talk about that could make it more practical, but also it may be a fun venture, mainly if you are coming at it from a business perspective.
Well, even Brides Magazine is writing about it, so your niece may have to change her mind.
Yeah, she will.
So in July 2022, they published an article titled How to Throw a Wedding in the Metaverse. In the Brides article, they talked about a couple, Candice and Ryan Hurley, who had a traditional wedding in 2008, but in 2022 renewed their wedding vows in the Metaverse at the offices of the law firm Rose Law Group. They had a Metaverse architect build the venue, and NFTs of a picture of their dog were gifted to the guests. We will put the full article, of course, in the show notes for you to check this out. Another couple mentioned in the article held a physical wedding, but along with traditional wedding rings, they also gifted each other NFT pieces of art with a smart contract written by the groom. And on the morning of the wedding day, they exchanged the art from their crypto wallets.
I quite like some of these ideas. Particularly, I like the giving guests an NFT gift.
I quite like the vows. I like how they are encrypted in a code.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I think when my niece was thinking about it, she was kind of thinking all in, but I think there's certain aspects that you can
bring to the table.
And I think people are a bit more used to it because when it was lockdown, people would attend wedding virtually anyway. So I think this next step into the Metaverse, but also architect creating a Metaverse venue for you. How amazing would that be?
That would be awesome. This could be an alternative for guests, but what if you work in the industry?
As with all of these new chapters, there are always opportunities. You may be a traditionalist when it comes to weddings, and we would imagine that most people are, but you can still use this technology to help. One of the most useful ways I would imagine is to be able to show the bride and groom exactly what their wedding could look like by creating this in the Metaverse. So you can walk through the wedding, both where the ceremony and the party are going to be held, and know that everything is going to be exactly as you want it. Metaverse Architects, as we just said, is a perfect opportunity. The other aspect is for some cultures, you're expected to invite a huge number of people, and weddings can go on for days. It's not always possible for people to travel all over to attend weddings and be able to attend online, not just by Zoom, but actually feel as if you are in the venue and joining in may solve a lot of problems for people. You could help people to plan their wedding this way, and you could make it part of your wedding planning expertise.
Or to keep it simple, people could use NFTs for invitations and gifts to the guests. This could be part of the service you could offer to help them create and distribute NFTs. What other ideas for wedding opportunities are in the metaverse?
Oh, well, we talk a lot about avatars, which I think is one of our episodes soon. And I think avatars are going to be so big in people's lives, particularly this kind of younger generation who are used to gaming and having avatars. I think that's going to be a thing, your avatar getting married as opposed to yourself. That's one of them, definitely.
Yeah. What about metaverse florists?
Yes. Yeah. Love that idea. Because there's so many different things. Flowers don't then just need to be flowers, do they? They can play music, they can sparkle, they don't just need to be sat in a pot.
And the experience from the guests, can you imagine watching the bride walk down the aisle, or you can actually sort of be in the eyes of the bride and all the flowers open up? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think outside the box here.
Yeah, but even confetti could actually turn into
little fairies,
birds or fairies or something. But there's so much, just to be able to design that. And like we said, your wedding invitations could be NFTs. So you as a designer could create wedding invitations as NFTs.
Definitely.
I actually saw somebody who did really cool designs for QR codes in AI, and they were really creative. And it's kind of that similar thing to do a wedding invitation. I just think you could just go mad.
Yeah, you could really, really go crazy. And especially if you haven't got the budget in real life.
Yes.
You could make it really immersive and beautiful, especially with now we've just had the announcement literally yesterday with the new Apple Vision Pro coming out. So it feels like it's getting closer and closer now that Apple have revealed their launch date.
Yes.
I mean, we've got a hell of a time to wait for it, but it's coming.
In this country, we do. In this country.
Oh, same old. Same old.
I know, but Cheryl and I are miserable about this because we get really fed up that everything gets launched in America first, then you have to wait. But that's not what this episode is about.
Okay, so unless you've been living under a rock for the past 6 months, there has been an explosion of AI tools, and these can be used to your advantage to help plan a wedding, whether it is for your wedding or whether you work in the industry. Most people do not have the budget to have a wedding planner, and it can become very overwhelming when you have so many factors to consider. Using AI to help plan what needs to be done, when and how, could help take some of the strain off of you. AI could be used to design wedding invitations, give you ideas on how you want the wedding venue to look, plan menus for all the different food options you may have to deal with, and generally help you structure the day so it goes to plan. You could even get AI to be creative and ask it to come up with your own wedding cocktail. And of course, wedding vows.
Yeah. There's so much, even since we wrote this episode, as with AI, the number of tools that come out. But now even ChatGPT has all the plugins. It now scrapes up to date the web
browsing.
Yeah. So even now there's more it can do since we started to write and research this episode. So just being able to find sources about how you plan a wedding or suppliers or, all these sort of things.
Yeah.
AI will just make this so much easier for you.
So what about if you work in the industry? How could you use AI?
This would be my thing. If I think about this a lot, I almost wish I understood the wedding industry, because a lot of people can't afford planners, like we've said. And if you are a wedding planner, you could use AI to do wedding planning light. So you could charge a certain amount of money and you could map out somebody's wedding day for them, particularly because I think in wedding, the relationships with suppliers is really important. So florists, caterers, all of that aspect of a wedding, those relationships, you could incorporate that into this plan and charge a small amount, but something that would really help bride and groom just run their day smoothly. Like this is the date you need to design your wedding invitations. This is the date they need to go out. This is the date you need to do this. These,
basically have put in your wedding date, and then it will basically work backwards from that.
Yes. Yeah. And that if I was in the wedding, I would be doing that, just doing loads of those, because you can use, I think part of this was, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk was asked a question this woman said, how can you not let AI take your job or your business? And he answered this question so brilliantly, because he said, I would give AI this prompt. And he went into a prompt about wine. And he basically was saying, I'm an expert in wine, so I know what question to ask it about wine. You are not, so you don't know to ask it the right question. The same if you work in the wedding industry, you know the things that go wrong, the things that go right. You know what question to ask it.
What flowers are blooming at what time?
Exactly. You know how to think about the weather. Some of the things even my niece told me was that the wedding venue she works at, they have marble floors. So you can't have coloured flowers going down the aisle because the colours go into the marble. I would expect somebody to tell me that. You can't have confetti unless it's white, again, for the same reason. And also because there's peacocks on the ground. So you have, all of those things.
All those little aspects.
All those little aspects and you would know what was going wrong. And I think this wedding planning light is just something you could do, you could add to your thing. And if you think people wouldn't pay, people would. People have money to pay for all sorts of things. So there is definitely a lot more that can be done to incorporate AI, the metaverse, and all of these things in the wedding industry.
Definitely. I mean, I found a TikTok the other day about the content creator that goes to your wedding.
Yeah, you love this one.
Goes to your wedding and films the whole day and makes trending videos for you and your bridesmaids, the transformation, I just thought it was genius. I have no idea how much she is, but I think she's a great addition to any event.
I think the wedding industry, particularly for those people that have money, has just gone crazy. I was sending my niece videos of this particular wedding, and it happened over 3 days in Italy. And God, the amount of money that must have been spent on this wedding. They even, for one of the meals, had their own wedding sort of dinner service created. So that all the guests had a plate like with their name on. It just the aspect of it. But if you then add the metaverse into that, if you add AI, if you add NFTs, it's a huge industry anyway, isn't it? So
it is.
So yeah, there's a lot you can be done.
There is always a movement in time, and change is always guaranteed. Some of these ideas may seem far-fetched, but over time, some of these elements will become normal. And as always, we urge you, if you are a small business owner, not to miss the opportunities that this digital universe offers you. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Join us next week as we continue our journey into the metaverse. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Women of the Metaverse.
You can find all information, links, and people we talked about in the show notes on our website.
If you have enjoyed this podcast, please comment and subscribe.
Join us again in the next episode as we continue this exciting metaverse journey.